The receptors are the parathyroid gland cells, and they detect, right, the low levels. So what do they do? Is
Release parathyroid hormone.
Turn on the gene.
so there's some cyclic.
AMP.
So okay.
So AMP is the input?
So there's
No. No.
and cyclic AMP wakes up the parathyroid genes, right? Turns them on. And what do they do? PTH, right? They produce parathyroid hormone. And the parathyroid hormone works on these two effectors, osteoclasts and kidneys. It tells the kidneys to stop secreting calcium. So the kidneys will hold on to calcium, and exchange, they will secrete.
Okay. Do you see the genes look a little bit more like this is protruding a little bit more right here?
The kidneys produce this.
So this is protruding a little more here.
Calcitriol. Calcitriol works on the intestines. Tells the intestines to keep absorbing
More calcium.
All of that will increase. Okay. The osteoclast will
Break down more
increase bone reabsorption.
resorption.
Right? So increase bone reabsorption. All of this, two processes, right, with the calcitriol, this is gut, right? And it comes from the kidneys, will help increase overall blood calcium levels. That returns us to 1 point just for homeostasis, right? Which will overall increase and level that out, right? Feedback system. Go.
Is it bone reabsorption or resorption?
It's resorption.
Reabsorption.
No,
Resorption.
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 break down bone.
Break down bone. Pac-Man, choo choo choo. Choo choo choo. Yep. That was really stupid for a video, right? Okay. You are a long bone. You have a brother bone, cousin bone, whatever. That's a flat bone. Explain in detail to a flat bone how you came to be. So that means what process, if you're a long bone, were you made from?
No, endochondral.
Endochondrial ossification, right? And the key with endochondrial ossification, can you guys do this? Can we go, do you know all the steps?
No,
Yeah, you do.
not really.
So there may be more numbers in here, but here's how we're going to go. We've got these cells.
Mesenchymal.
Okay. Now, my spelling will be off here, so don't judge me, right? Mesenchyme cells are a type of
Stem cells.
cell, right? They go through a process called specialization or differentiation, right?
Genic cells.
Osteogenic cells, right? These cells now are committed to deal with bones for the rest of their life, right? Of the cells. So mesenchyme differentiate into osteogenic. Osteogenics differentiate into
Osteoblasts
either blasts
or clasts.
or clasts, right? Now, mesenchyme cells will also differentiate into these. Starts with a C.
Oh.
Chondroblasts, right? Because when we go through this kind of bone modeling, ossification, we have to make a cartilaginous model. Yeah, first. So when we make the model, our cartilage model, right? Okay. Then we get a lot of proliferation of the osteoblasts. They build the cartilage model, and we will eventually get this center. Yeah. So we'll call that the primary ossification center. When we have primary ossification center, we've got nerve supply, we get nutrients from our blood, right? And the foreman shows up. And he goes, oh, chondroblast, you did a fabulous job. So, here we go, let's put some, all right, here's a work order, osteoblast. Go to work, right? Start building the bone. Class, I need an interior here, right? So, if this is my cartilage model, right? I know, it looks more like a tampon than you. Okay, sorry. I'm not PC, I'm sorry. It does, right? Super maxi pad or something? I don't know. So anyways, we get this primary ossification center. We got nerves coming in, right? And then we've got some bone formation, right? Modeling going on. We've got to chew up the middle, so the osteoclast. We've got hypertrophic activity with the chondrocytes in there. And so we start to make this model. It starts to give two types of growth, interstitial growth and appositional growth for both of it, right? So we've got appositional is thickness, interstitial is length. So what you see here is the Pac-Man's going to work, Pac-Man, and they're making the medullary area right here, right?
Medullary cavity.
The chondroblasts are just pulling away, hypertrophic, right? So it's just this is beautiful. It's fantastic, right? Blasts are making the outside. We got some good. Now, the genes say, wait, don't go too far. I don't want a kid that's being born with, 1 4-foot leg and 1 2-foot leg. So we've got to get these centers developed. These secondary, right? So we get secondary ossification centers that show up, right? And so they start developing the epiphysis, right? So that's where we get that. And then we get we get the long bone caps. They look really good now. It's like a dumbbell. Oh, so beautiful, right? We've got a nice medullary cavity inside, so we can put bone marrow, fat and all that stuff. We've got good penetration for the nerves. Our epiphyses are starting to develop, and when we're all done, it leaves this little area here.
The epiphyseal line.
Right?
Is it the plate?
Plate
or the line first?
Plate.
Plate.
Right?
Okay.
And inside the plate are these zones. There's Z of R, Z of P. I'm going to take this, right? So, because we only need the top one each, right? Z of this. And what is the other one? Those are the zones of the epiphyseal plate, right? Zone of rest. And then HGH, human growth hormone, comes along and says, hey, wake up. And then we get zone of proliferation. And so these right? And then we get zone of hypertrophy, right? And then what's this last one? It's where calcification. So it's the. I think it is, right? It's where they die. The ossification happens, they become bone, right? So those are your zones. So I think it's zone of calcification. Okay? There's only 4.
Is that step 1?
We already covered all these.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, I didn't write those down when we were keep going, right? So just to recap, we've got stem cells that are called mesenchyme cells. They differentiate into osteogenic cells. Osteogenic cells will differentiate into blasts or clasts, right? Those will build bones for the rest of their life. Also, mesenchyme cells will differentiate into chondroblasts, right? Chondroblasts will help lay down the cartilage model, right? And then we get a primary ossification center. We've got the foramen comes down, chondrocytes, you've done a beautiful job. They start saying, class, do your work. It'll make the medullary cavity, right? Blasts are going to start laying down bone all over the cartilage model. We get a growth, interstitial growth and appositional growth, right? At the same time, we get secondary ossification centers. They cap off, that's where the epiphyses are. We'll get all this growth into a certain point, and then we'll leave this epithelial plate where we have 4 zones. Zones of rest, zone of proliferation, zone of hypertrophic, and then zone of calcification. That's it.
And those are close to the diaphysis.
So, the areas where the bone meets together, we have what's called the shaft, and that's the diaphysis, right? Don't quote me on the whatever, yeah. Okay, and then we have the epiphysis, right? And the area that meets in the middle is the metaphysis. Right? That's the metaphysis, right? So that's pretty much it. Now, you should be able to do the same thing in reverse if the question says you're a flat bone. Tell a long bone in the body how you were made. I don't know that one as well because I know this one was on our lab exam. But this is shorter steps, right? The only difference is we're making flat bones, so we don't have a cartilage model, right? So it should be page, I want to say it's like something. So let's move on. We'll come back to this, all right? Okay. Burns. Okay. How many classifications of burns do we have?
3.
First degree, second,
And 3rd.
First degree,
You're
I
good.
was out in
You're
the
good.
sun for a
Next
little
time.
too long. I'm fair skinned, I have a sunburn, right? Second degree, I was out of the sun for a little bit longer than just a little bit. I have what form? Blisters, right? First degree, light sunburn, no blisters. Second degree, sunburn, blisters form. Third degree,
All of the nerve cells are.
yes, we lose tissue, right? Third degree, we lose tissue. There's nerve damage. We may need a graft, okay? Rule of nines. Rule of nines. There's 11 areas of the body, right? Different areas. Head, back of head, trunk, back, arms, legs. What is one area we always forget? The groin.
Growing.
All right. So there is different areas. This is on your lab exam too. What it'll tell you is count up different areas if this is the burn, right? We know trunk is 18. All right. Back and front. Either they both have it. 4.5 back ahead. 4.5 front ahead. Total of 9 for the arm, right? So we have 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5 legs. Those are a little larger, so I think those are 9. 1% is your groin area, the inguinal area. Okay, so review that because I think it's positioned that's right here, right before you have your extra credit point right here. All right, on your lab exam that we asked you that. Wound healing. We're going fast here, right? Wound healing. Phases of wound healing, you have to explain in detail what's going on. The first one, you have this phase. Inflammation, right? Inflammatory. In order to take care of this wound, you've got to get a rush of blood there. Rush of blood means a rush of immune cells, phagocytic cells, all that stuff, right? So you got all these phagocytes that come in here. You've got a good blood supply, so there can be platelets rush there to stop. Then from there we have this one. So it's IMPM, right? You get migration, right? And then you get migration to a certain point when there's contact inhibition, right? So at contact inhibition, we stop migration, we go to proliferation. Cells keep regenerating until maturation, they mature, okay? So know those. Those are key. Layers of the skin. Wow, we gotta go back to the skin. That was so long ago, right? So layers of the skin, you need to know in thick skin, in thin skin. Thin skin's really easy. Can girls slap boys? right? Stratum corneum. Stratum granulosum.
Granulosum.
Stratum spinosum. Stratum
Basalis.
basalis. You have to know what cells are in each layer, right? Whether there's Langerhans cells there or not in that layer. Okay?
Keratinocytes.
Is keratinization going on at the same time? What two cells are involved in that? So that'll.
Well, the Langer families, are they usually
Correct. So yes. So Langerhans cells, I think, are in where area? Spinosum, right? Because granulosum, we start to get this dead apoptosis and all that, so we don't need it there. There's good keratinization that's in there because it developed from the lower one. So we need to know that. Thick skin. What's the only addition that we need to know for thick skin? It's called
The lucidum.
lucidum, stratum lucidum. Good to go, right? We have to come back to that knee joint.
Oh.
So knee joint, the first thing you want to see when you're on the lecture exam is what view am I looking at? Am I looking at a posterior view or an anterior view? Posterior. We have no patella. If we're not looking at patella, then we know it must be a posterior view. So that can tell us by the side, now we know left or right. Where is the fibula on our body? It's lateral to the tibia. So if I'm looking at this, and this is the posterior view of the right knee, okay? So I can label that. Now I need to label all the interior, or what you may have to do is draw it. So we have meniscuses, right?
Yes.
Yes, oh, okay. So we have, if we know left and right, we know lateral and medial. So lateral meniscus, medial.
Meniscus.
Very good. Articulating surface, you need to know articulating surfaces, right? Articulating surfaces because they're covered with
Articular cartilage.
articular cartilage. Fabulous. We have ligaments. Do you know the ligaments?
Medial and lateral.
Write it down. I mean, like on the board.
Oh, yeah. I could. I'll have my book in front of me. I was hoping you would tell me. All right, so here's what I can do real quick. This ligament on the inside, posterior view, it's the one that's closest to you, so that must be the posterior
Cruciate ligament.
CL, right? Posterior cruciate ligament. If this is posterior, then the one in front of it is the
Anterior.
anterior cruciate ligament. The one that breaks all the time. Football players, all that, right? Stress it. They do that. So we have an auricular surface. So let's do first lateral meniscus. Whatever. We have medial
Medial meniscus.
meniscus. And then we've got two ligaments. We got to do it. Which ones are they? So if cruciate's on the inside, then those are, I wish I had my book. I don't have my book. It's way over there. Does anybody have their lab book real quick? No? Okay, keep videoing. Keep videoing. That is the knee. What type of joint does the knee make up? What type of joint is the knee?
Synovial?
Type.
Oh, type. Hinge.
Type.
Hinge?
Hinge. Right? The knee is a hinge. Structural class.
Diarthrosis. Oh no, I'm sorry, synovial.
Functional class.
Diarthrosis.
Diarthrosis. There we go. So real quick, this is the knee. The knee is composed of the fibula, tibia,
The
femur, patella in the front. It's a synovial joint, which means it has a functional class of diarthrosis, which means the type is a hinge. Ligament-wise, this is the tibial collateral ligament. This is the fibular collateral ligament. So, how do we easily identify? Well, the tibia is over here, so this is tibial. Fibia is over here, this is fibular. So real quick, we have the anterior cruciate ligament, posterior cruciate ligament, right? We have the medial meniscus, lateral meniscus, we have a articulating surface, so there must be articular cartilage there. And the view we're looking at is the
Posterior.
right, and so we know this is left or right. This is
Right.
because we know that the fibula is on the lateral side.
Lateral side.
Sweet. So what I probably want to do is get intramembranous for you real quick, right?